Hey everyone, and in front of the camera here I have 4 examples from the 2017 run of the Great Eastern Cutlery number 78 American Jack. The number 78 American Jack was originally run in 2014, and back then the blade configurations were all 2 blade configurations. You had a clip point main and pen secondary. Now, excluding the SFOs on this 2017 run, all the SFOs were only available, at least to my knowledge, in a single blade spear, excluding, there was one special SFO which was 3-bladed number 78, but that wasn't actually even marketed as a Great Eastern Cutlery. It was like, I think, a Myron Grosh market, but besides that, all the SFOs were only single blade spears. Anything that was not an SFO was available either in a single blade spear or a spear main and a pen secondary. So here we have one Northfield, so right here, Northfield trim, and then 3 Tidutes. I kind of didn't really plan this, but I went for red, white, and blue in the Tidutes. And all the Tidutes actually came with a sticker on the front with that American flag for the 78 American Jack. So instead of getting the typical, let me find that real quick, typical Tidute sticker, the Tidutes for the 78 American Jack actually came with a special sticker for the 78 American Jack, which is pretty neat. So the 78 American Jack is a medium-sized traditional knife from Great Eastern Cutlery. Really well done. I mean, Great Eastern Cutlery, since I've been collecting them over the last few years, has been doing extraordinary work, and the 78 American Jack is a great model. It's nice size. Overall, you know, it's a pretty ergonomic knife, and I think you get a good amount of blade for the size of the knife there. So let's take a look here. First one I'll go over is the only Northfield unexcelled number 78 American Jack that I have. This actually has what they're now calling the keyhole shield, which originally people were referring to the cloud shield. So I'll give you an idea of that. This is in Gabon Ebony, and this one actually has some lighter blonde streaks, which I kind of prefer. I like a little bit more character in the Gabon Ebony. I'm not going to bother trying to list all the SFOs and all the variations of the 78 from this run. But this was a Northfield unexcelled, and this was available in single blade here or 2 blade. So this we have 2 lines in the bolsters, no pinch in the bolsters. Long pole. Let's see, kind of got a, yeah, we have a mirror polished blade. So very reflective blade, Northfield unexcelled trademark. Laser etch onto the blade. So nice spear blade. I mean, these 78s with these spear blades, they're really well done. Great Eastern Cutlery makes a fantastic spear blade, and this is no exception to that. So you notice the pin configuration for the number 78 American Jack. You have a pin up here, pin down there, and these 2 pins are actually basically parallel, which kind of, if you take a number 77, I mean, this is number 77 Barlow, they're very similar in size, but you notice that the middle pins are not parallel in a 77 from GEC. So they're very similar in size, just slightly different in shape up towards the top of the handle. So give you a nice size comparison. Another size comparison would be a 74 Heartland clip SFO from Apostle P. So again, very similar in size and handle to a 74. 74 is just a little bit longer, and of course you have that curvature in the handle. In case you're familiar with number 15s, there you go. So it is bigger than number 15. And number 15 boy's knife is a smaller frame knife by GEC. So back to the blade here. We have Northfield unexcelled stamped on the blade here, made in the USA. Turned over, we have GEC, and you'll notice CAR for carbon. Besides the Bull Moose, which was run right before this, that's had CKC, carbon keeps cutting. Every GEC that has been run since has either had CAR or carbon spelled out. If you're familiar with GEC, they used to have TIW for Titusville Iron Works. Now that changed. I think there was some kind of legal issue with that. So that's going to be instead of TIW for their 1095 made blades. I'm not sure if the Cyclops steel works like on this number 15. Will change when they run 440C blades. So we'll see. So yeah, pull on this. The Northfields are a little bit stiffer, at least the one I have and what I've heard. So these are around their 6 or 7 on the pull weight. Good walk and talk, flush when closed, a little bit of proud on the half stop, and completely flush when open. So that's the Gabon Ebony and Northfield Unexcelled trim. Let's go on to this one. Was not planning on getting this originally. This is a Tidute trim and elderberry jig bone. So we have Tidute shield, just plain bolsters, just a nail nick, satin blade, no etch. Again, instead of Northfield Unexcelled, we have Tidute cutlery here. Made in the USA, GEC CAR for carbon, and of course all these have the same model tank stamp because they're all single blade 78s from 2017. So it's all 78 for the frame number, 2 for a spear main blade, 1 they're all single blade, and 17 for 2017. So this elderberry jig bone was one I wasn't originally planning on picking up. But when I saw pictures of how this elderberry jig bone turned out, I ended up jumping on it, and I think this is one of the ones that they still have at least the 2 blade configurations still available at some dealers. I really like the way that that jig bone pattern was done. It reminds me of when they've done a cougar clawed bone, which is typically just a brown and a white coloration, just normal bone coloration. But I really like the way they did this. And if you're familiar, Collector Knives is doing a run of the 77 Barlows currently, and they're going to do elderberry camel bone. So I'm excited to see how that's going to look, since this elderberry jig bone turned out very well. Again, walk and talk with this Tidutes is a little bit lighter, and you can actually, with these single blades, pinch open the blade. You can't do that with the Northfield. Because of this wedge here, so you can't pinch this open, but on the Tidutes you can. And again, the walk and talk is a little lighter, around the 5 or 6. So that's the elderberry jig bone. Moving on here, another one. Originally, the only reserve I had down was for this Gabon Ebony. So again, the smooth white bone. This was, hopefully this comes on the camera well. Smooth white bone was something I wasn't originally planning on getting either, but when I started to see pictures of it emerge online, I decided I had to get one. Nice smooth white bone. You got a little bit of texturing here in the back. I don't know if it's picking up well on the camera or not. It's kind of hard to tell. I believe this is supposed to get kind of darker with carrying age. As it just kind of picks up dirt and whatever oils are on your hands when you're carrying it. But still really nice. Hot dog shield, people do not like that hot dog shield on the forums. but I still think it, overall with this whole profile looks nice. And these spear blades again are just really well done by Great Eastern Cutlery. Let's see, yeah. Again, walk and talk is same on these, and all of them. I mean, besides half stop, everything is flush. So really cool. Again, all these have bolsters at the pivot end and end caps too, which I think makes a really nice look for these number 78s. Finally is an SFO from Knives Ship Free. This is in blue camel bone, and these of course go really fast. As you know, when Derek at Knives Ship Free drops knives, they go very quickly. So if you don't jump on them, you usually don't have a chance if you're 10 minutes late to a drop. So here we have blue camel bone. These were only single blade spears. This was actually in Tidute trim. And we have the houndstooth shield, which I think goes really well with this frame. Camel bone, of course, varies a lot in how it looks, how it takes that dye. So, this is one example of it. But if you've ever seen the drops at Knives Ship Free, or just any other GECs that have been done in camel bone or dyed camel bone, you realize that the variation of color varies a lot. Again, walk and talk is good. I think this is one of my favorites. I mean, I'm kind of a sucker for dyed camel bone, but also that houndstooth shield I think works really well. I really like just the profile of it. These are really nice in hand. It fills out your hand real well because of the size of the frame, and because of the kick here, kind of acts as a guard so your finger doesn't slip onto the path of the blade. Really cool. All these are, I think they're all centered pretty well. Take a look here real quick. Looks like they're all, looks like maybe the elderberry jig bone is a little bit off, but they all look well, pretty good for the most part here. And termination of the back spring is done pretty well. I mean, fit and finish on GECs, if you're not aware, is usually very good. It's pretty rare that you get one that's just got a ton of problems. So, yep. I mean, there you go. Let's get this red, white, and blue. Here again, number 78 American Jack. Definitely recommend it if you can find it. I think mostly it's either secondary market at this point, and there's some two-bladed versions still available because those weren't as popular. And I think part of it was more difficult to get to that pen, or no, more difficult to get to the main blade with the pen secondary actually riding in front of the spear main. But overall, I mean, this is a great pattern from Great Eastern Cutlery. I'm glad that they did another run besides the 2014 run, because those ones from the 2014 run were very difficult to find. So that's the number 78 American Jack by Great Eastern Cutlery. One of my new favorite patterns, even though I have a lot of favorite patterns by Great Eastern Cutlery. Anyways, that is the last run from 2017 by Great Eastern Cutlery. As always, if you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below, and thanks for watching.